Welcome to episode 379, where I'm talking about the doshas in relationships, the strengths and the challenges. Being aware of the tendencies of each dosha type promotes understanding, compassion, and connection. I will also share practical strategies for navigating differences between the doshas in order to enhance compatibility in your relationships. So please stay tuned. Hi there, I'm your host Colette, and on this podcast I will be sharing the teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and holistic health practices. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend checking out the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. Thanks for listening, and now here's a new episode. Welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. It's Colette for a solo episode today. And today I'm talking about how Ayurveda can benefit your relationships. And I'm focusing on relationships because this episode will be published on February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. And while Valentine's Day has become very commercialized, we all understand the importance of having love in our lives, particularly now that there's such a loneliness epidemic. Whether that's love with a significant other, with family members, friends, your pets, loving relationships come in many forms. And what I want to discuss today is how the doshas impact our relationships and how understanding your own doshic makeup and the doshic makeup of people you're in relationship with will really enhance connection and harmony. Let's start with the basics of the doshas to make sure we're all on the same page. First of all, everything in the physical world is composed of the 5 fundamental building blocks of nature, the elements of space, air, fire, water, and earth. All aspects of the universe are made up from different combinations of these 5 elements. And these 5 elements give rise to the 3 doshas of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. The doshas are the energies governing all the functions of the body. The Vata dosha is comprised of the space and air elements. And Vata is like the wind in nature, and it's the energy of action, movement, and transportation. Pitta is comprised of the fire and water elements. And Pitta is like the sun's heat in nature, and is the energy of transformation, conversion, and digestion. The Kapha dosha is comprised of water and earth elements, and Kapha is mostly water in nature, but with that earth element provides the energy of construction, lubrication, and nourishment. The doshas are biological energies found throughout the body and mind. They govern all physical and mental processes and provide every living being with an individual blueprint. Prakriti is the Sanskrit term for your individual constitution or blueprint, sometimes referred to as your true nature, and each individual has a unique blend or ratio of the 3 doshas. Your Prakriti is determined at conception and stays the same throughout your life, providing each person with a unique constitution. Now, of course, while your Prakriti stays the same and is determined at conception, it can go in and out of balance. I'm sure you have all seen or taken a dosha quiz. And if you haven't, I'll put a link to my dosha quiz in the show notes. But each individual, as I said, has a different ratio of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha in their constitution. And this quiz gives you a fun insight into the differences between the doshas. And it's a great stepping stone to start understanding your unique constitution. However, I do recommend consulting with an Ayurvedic professional to determine your true nature, as it's hard to be objective when answering these questions. Understanding your unique constitution helps you to understand your physical, mental, emotional, and behavioral tendencies. With this knowledge, you can navigate your life and relationships with a sense of confidence, compassion, and living in connection with your true nature. And a greater connection with each other, because with this information from Ayurveda, you'll understand the different tendencies of each dosha type. And I'm going to quickly review the tendencies of each dosha type. And remember, we each have a different ratio of these three doshas, so you may recognize yourself or others in more than one of these descriptions. The Vata dosha, as I said, is comprised of the space and air elements. In nature, Vata is like the wind. It's constantly moving and scattering things around. It's the energy of action, transportation, and movement in the body. The Vata dosha is spontaneous and always on the move. This dosha loves to communicate. They love to talk, but they can be irregular. And we see this irregularity in digestion and elimination, for example. There also can be an inconsistency with so many exciting and spontaneous things to do and not enough time or energy to do it all. The Vata dosha promotes imagination and creativity, but it is prone to depletion, nervousness, and anxiety. And the mind will often be in the future and worrying about the what ifs. The Pitta dosha is comprised of the fire and water elements. In nature, Pitta is like the sun's heat, bright, intense, and transforming things. It is the energy of conversion, digestion, and transformation in the body. The Pitta dosha is passionate, ambitious, organized, but they can be overly competitive, which can lead to stress and burnout. And all this intensity can result in Pitta being critical and impatient with perfectionist tendencies. The Kapha dosha is comprised of the water and earth elements. It's the energy of construction, lubrication, and nourishment in the body. The Kapha dosha is loving, nurturing, caring, and steady, but can have a tendency to lack motivation, be resistant to change, and become overly attached, having a hard time letting go. So they are the tendencies of each dosha type. So now let's look at the dosha dynamics in relationships. So let's look at Vata in relationship. The strengths are that Vata dosha is playful, imaginative, and expressive with lots of creativity and words of affirmation. The challenge is the Vata dosha can feel overwhelmed and needs lots of grounding. So tips for supporting those with a high Vata dominant constitution is to provide stability with clear communication and gentle reassurance to ease any worry or anxiety. Avoid overstimulation, encouraging lots of time in nature to help calm and ground. So let's look at Pitta in relationship. The strengths of the Pitta dosha: passionate, driven, and protective with lots of acts of service and goal or purposeful oriented gestures. The challenges are that Pitta may become overly intense or controlling. So tips for supporting those with a Pitta dominant constitution: they appreciate direct, honest communication and expect clarity and mutual respect. Emotionally, they need acknowledgement of their efforts and space to manage intensity. Encourage relaxation and avoid heated arguments, especially when Pitta is aggravated or hungry. And on that note, it's always a good idea to have snacks on hand to avoid the Pitta tendency to be hangry. Okay, let's look at Kapha in relationship. The strengths: Kapha is loyal, patient, and deeply affectionate with lots of physical touch and enjoying quality time together. The challenges are that Kapha can become stagnant or overly dependent. And the tips for supporting those with a Kapha dominant constitution: Kapha will thrive on nurturing, patient communication and seek consistency and reassurance. Emotionally, they value security and small acts of affection to feel appreciated. For the Kapha dosha, it's good to inspire movement and lots of variety in activities to prevent any Kapha sluggishness or stagnation. So how can you enhance your compatibility in your relationships with Ayurveda? First of all, it would be great to identify the dominant doshas of those you're in close relationship with. Taking the dosha quiz together can be fun, and it's helpful to have someone who really knows you well to answer your dosha quiz with you. It's also a great way to introduce someone to Ayurveda and, more importantly, to help them understand your unique constitution and that there are different dosha types, and this determines the tendencies of each person and how they navigate life and relationships. So it can be a really good learning moment. Let's take a look at some practical strategies for navigating differences with the doshas. For Vata Pitta pairs in relationship, where Vata is creative, spontaneous, and inconsistent, and Pitta is structured, focused, and passionate, it's good to have a foundational structure in the relationship. So if it's with a significant other, it could be rules around the housework. Or if it's with friends, maybe it's a set day or time that you regularly meet. Or if it's in the office, that there's a structure to how you work. This foundation will provide Vata with a grounding structure, and Pitta will appreciate the clarity and consistency of the routine structure as well. But then balance that steady foundation with creativity and some spontaneity so it doesn't become too rigid for Vata, who does not like routine, and for Pitta, who can become overly structured and set in their ways. So with the foundation of structure in place for the important details, allow play and fun within those parameters, which will keep both Vata and Pitta happy. For Vata Kapha pairs, as I just said, Vata is creative, spontaneous, and inconsistent, and Kapha likes consistency, calmness, and reassurance. It will be good to have a grounding foundation of calmness to provide stability for both Vata and Kapha, but within that calm foundation, there's variety. For example, the environment is calm in the home or office, or if you're out in nature, the calming sense of nature around you. But there's always a variety in activities to keep Vata inspired and to prevent Kapha becoming too attached to a certain way of doing things. So again, with Vata Kapha pairs, you need foundation, structure, but the variety in activities will keep Vata entertained and will prevent Kapha from becoming too stuck. And then for Pitta Kapha pairs, where Pitta is structured, focused, and passionate, and Kapha again likes consistency, calmness, and reassurance, it would be good to make sure that both are nurtured, in that Pitta gives Kapha lots of quality time with words of affection and or reassurance. And this would benefit Pitta also, as this could be the much needed downtime for Pitta to relax and recharge, preventing that burnout. It would be great to balance this nurturing time and energy with ambition, where Pitta could inspire Kapha gently to set realistic goals and encourage them to stick with the plan. Spending time together on this goal can bring a deeper connection and balance. For example, if it's an exercise goal, Kapha performs best with support and accountability, and Pitta will benefit from playing a more supportive and compassionate role. Giving Pitta permission to slow down rather than letting the ultra-competitive nature come out, as Kapha will not be interested in competing with Pitta. So in this situation, everyone benefits. Now for shared doshas, it's a case of like increasing like. And so discipline is really needed here. For example, if there are two Vatas in relationship, there will be a tendency to have lots of spontaneity and play with little to no routine in eating, sleeping, or self-care. And this can result in lots of physical, mental, and emotional imbalances. And so there needs to be a disciplined focus on the basic dinacharya, the daily self-care practices, and a consistent sleeping, waking, and eating routine, along with mindfulness practices to provide grounding so that they can continue to have lots of fun and creative play without going off the deep end. If there are two Pittas in relationship, there could be a tendency towards intense competition, rigidity, and heated emotions. In this type of relationship, it's important to remember to have fun. And so letting go a little is needed here and not being too rigid about how things have to be, letting go of the perfectionism and letting go of the need for every action to have a purpose and just to play a little. So scheduling time for fun will keep everyone balanced and happy when it's a relationship between two Pitta doshas. If there are two Kaphas in relationship, there could be a tendency towards stagnation in an unchanging routine and being overly dependent on each other. In a relationship with two Kaphas, it's good to have a variety of activities that you do with each other, but it's also important to have your time apart and enjoy activities with others. And that could be joining other social groups to get you out of your cocoon and your tendency towards dependency on each other in the relationship. And this can bring exciting new things to share in your relationship. With two Kaphas in a relationship, it's all about shaking things up with movement, change, and variety to prevent stagnation from taking hold. And as this is a Valentine's Day episode, I want to finish up here by talking about dosha balancing dinacharya, self-care practices that can bring connection. I often have couples coming to me together on their Ayurvedic journey, which is wonderful. And I encourage them to perform some of their dinacharya together. It's a great way to have quality time together, especially when our lives are so busy today. So for example, giving each other an Abhyenga oil massage. This can be a great way to combine your dinacharya with some loving touch and connection. Performing mindfulness practices together is another great way to bond in relationships, whether that's practicing yoga or meditation. And maybe if you have different dominant dosha types, that you try different practices and then see how each person experiences the practice can be a great way to learn about each other and again, bring a deeper connection. Having a date night at home and cooking dishes tailored to your doshas. Again, another fun learning exercise with each person teaching what ingredients are best for your dosha type, combining tastes and qualities to make sure that they're pacifying dishes for you both. And another great way to foster connection is to have a gratitude practice at mealtime, sharing what you're grateful for that day. And this is a great practice at the end of a busy day to come together and to remind yourself of the good things that happened that day and sharing that with your partner. Sharing these practices will promote sattva, harmony in your relationship. Having awareness of your doshic makeup and the doshic makeup of those you're in relationship with helps you to understand them on a deeper level. So there you go. That's my insight into how Ayurveda and understanding the doshas can help you in your relationships, and may your relationships flourish with balance, understanding, and love. If you want support on your Ayurveda journey, please check out my online services. I provide online consultations, which are focused on healing, education, and empowerment. I have the Digestive Reset Cleanse. The next discounted group cleanse starts March 28th. Now, if that date doesn't work for your schedule, you can always do a private cleanse. Both the private and group cleanses have the same structure, just that with a private cleanse, you get to choose your own dates and you have me one-to-one for support. This holistic cleanse comes with a 90-minute online consultation with me so that I can tailor the recipes, the self-care and mindfulness practices to you and your lifestyle. And if you like to study by yourself, I recommend my online Daily Habits for Holistic Health program. It's a 28-day self-paced program with the objective to help you live in tune with the circadian rhythm and educates you on how to become your own healer. And I combine all my online services in my Reset, Restore, Renew program. I know this is a lot of information, but check out the comparison chart on my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, where you can see what you get with each service and you can decide what's best for you. And then if you have any questions before you book, please take advantage of my free 15-minute online services inquiry call. We can hop online and I can answer all of your questions. I hope you found this episode helpful. And if you think others would enjoy it, please share it with them so we can spread this wisdom of Ayurveda and improve the relationships in our lives. If you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so. And the new episodes will automatically download for you every week. And if you feel like you're getting benefit from this podcast, I would really appreciate a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And that will help spread this wisdom of Ayurveda. Please come follow me on social media. My Instagram is Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. And on Facebook, it's Elements Healing and Wellbeing. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.